So it's December the 19th now, and all 4 flocks have been in lockdown for 5 days, and I think it's time to go and see how they're doing. One of the advantages of having this hard standing area outside the stable, which is where the chickens spend most of their day when they're not in the coop, is that we can give it a good soak down, a hose down and a good sweep every day to keep it nice and clean. So this is the tractor crew. They normally live outside in the field in the chicken tractor. Obviously they're now in this enclosure, they live in a stable. So we'll go in and see how they're doing, give them a bit of a clean. Obviously via the disinfectant first. So they've got this outside area enclosed with the tarpaulin on the top. And you've met them before if you've seen any of our previous videos. They're in quite a large stable. And I bought the chicken tractor in from outside. And I'm about to show you now one of the advantages of having this chicken tractor in here. So this is what I really like about having the tractor in here. Is that we can pick him up. Come out the way, girls. Out the way. And all the poo that they've done overnight has fallen through the mesh onto the floor. Sweep up. Thank you. Enough. Yes, thank you. And there's a bucket of chicken compost for the garden. Move the tractor back. These guys seem happy enough. We turn their hay every couple of days, clean out the tractor. These are the nest boxes which are accessible from the outside. Let's see what we've got. There we go, 3 eggs there. Oh, sorry. So they seem happy enough. Let's now look at the free rangers. So these normally spend their time in the woods, just wandering around. Obviously, again, they are now in a covered an enclosed pen. We'll go and see how they're doing inside once again. We're going to disinfect our boots. Hey girls. One of the things I want to show you in here, something I didn't show you in the other one, is this, and this is really important. So that is a dust bath that I have made up for them. You can use a cat litter tray or anything else you have around, but I've just made that up from some 4x1 timber and some plywood that I had hanging around the place. And in there I put some play sand and some ash, some wood ash from the fire. So that goes in there. It's important to keep it dry. We don't want it to get wet. And the girls go in there, give themselves a good dust bath, and they love it. So that's important, especially now that our chickens are locked up. It's vital that they do have some way of cleaning themselves and staying clean and mite free. Apologies about the light. It isn't very light in here. I've made this frame up for them. Here's the nest boxes. Oh, as you can see, they're still laying. So they seem quite happy, bearing in mind that normally they are wandering around the woods and they just come into the coop at night. There isn't a coop in here like a tractor next door. I haven't got enough room for them, and I haven't got a tractor. I may well build one if this goes on much longer. But they're used to living in a shed, so they don't actually go into a coop as such. They go into a shed with a perch in it and separate nest boxes. So they are relatively used to living in this big area. The whole thing is covered, blocked up. There's mesh there to stop wild birds and particularly rats getting in. And that's the thing, is make sure that your coops and your runs that you have built for lockdown, make sure that they are predator proof. So once I'm out of the way, the girls will get in there. The sun comes in there for about an hour and a half each day now, and they spend their time dust bathing. So let's now go and look at the Ixworths. So a couple of things to talk about with the Ixworth run. Let's have a look at it. Here it is. And the main issues we've got are to do with the position of it and the exposure to the elements. So once I put the tarpaulin over the top, it turned it into a bit of a parachute. So I had issues with and worries and concerns about wind getting underneath here and lifting up. I know a few people on some of the small holding sites, and some people that have emailed me to say that it's already happened to them. So what I've got this storm lashing system. It's actually an awning tie-down kit. I'm just showing my ex-military background there by calling it storm lashings. There's the disinfectant, energizer, and down here there's kind of a spring system where you can tighten these storm lashings. And ensure that, hopefully, no matter what strength of wind we face, it hopefully isn't going to go anywhere. So that's the main issue with this. Another idea which I've seen that you may want to think about is replacing the tarpaulin. If you don't want to strap it down like I've done, you can replace this tarpaulin. You can replace it with scaffold netting, and I know some people have doubled up the layer of scaffold netting on the top, and that's got a couple of advantages. If it's doubled up, the mesh is small enough not to let wild bird poo through to the run, but it also allows wind to go through, so it doesn't turn it into a parachute. So that's another thing that you might want to think about in addition to the tarpaulin. So tarpaulin maybe with some form of tie down system, or you replace the tarpaulin with some scaffold mesh, double it up, and that will stop the wild poo getting through, but will allow wind to get through as well. We will now go and look at a deep litter system I've got in the last of the flocks, which is for the Ixworth pullets. Actually, while we're passing, I wanted to show you something which I'm working on at the moment, and that's this. It's the base for a new chicken coop. It's actually going to be a nursery coop where the next year's spring chicks are going to spend the first 6 weeks of their life. And the reason I wanted to show it to you is because I wanted to emphasize how important it is to get the base right when you're protecting them against predators. So what I've done is I put some 4x2 timber down to make the base. Once it's been leveled, then I've put some hardcore, this is actually 14mm gravel, and then on top of that I put this wire mesh. It's 1-inch wire mesh, and I've pinned it down, and I've allowed an overlap of about 4 or 5 inches all the way around, so that once the coop goes on top, we can turn up those edges and pin them to the side of the coop to ensure that no predators, and it's rats I'm really worried about when it comes to the chicks, no predators can burrow underneath and dig up into the coop and get at the chicks. So I'll make a video of that as I go along, but I just wanted to show you the base that I've done at the moment. So these are the leg bar pullets. They've had their run covered with this tarpaulin. Couple of things, a couple of top tips here is that this particular run, this particular model has got a flat roof there. It isn't curved like the others, and one of the problems I've encountered is that when it rains, water used to collect in the top there, and it would significantly cause the wire to bow down due to the weight of the water. So what I've done is I've created a little tent on the top by putting a piece of plastic running all the way along the top of the run, and it just forms a slight tent at the top and allows the water to run down the side of the tarpaulin rather than collect on the top. And it's going to be particularly useful, I think, when we have snow, because snow, I've seen snow collapse a run before, but the weight of the water on the top there got quite heavy at some stage. So that's first top tip if you've got a flat topped run. But what I really wanted to show you, oh, there's a cockerel, by the way. He's just been put in, so he's now with all these girls, and that's going to form a breeding flock in the spring. What I wanted to show you was this deep litter method that we've adopted in here, and I recommend it if you've got a run that is stationary and doesn't move around. I've got a couple of runs that are movable, but this one, they tend to stay, and it was getting really mucky in here yesterday. They've been in here for some time now, and they're going to be even here in here even longer now with lockdown. So what I've done is I've adopted this deep litter method. This was getting pretty nasty, so what we've put is a layer of wood chippings about 2 to 3 inches thick down here. Underneath, it was really quite smelly and horrible yesterday, but these wood chippings now will hopefully last another few weeks, and then I'll put another layer on top of them. And the advantage of that is that it keeps this relatively clean. It does soak up some of the water that still gets in despite the tarpaulin, and then hopefully in the spring, once this is mixed with some of the chicken poo and they've dug around and scratched around, we'll have some good compost as well. So I do recommend some kind of deep litter system if your birds are making a mess. So that's it, a quick look around all of the flocks that we've got, all in lockdown now, all following the new rules and regulations that have been laid down by the government. They seem to be doing okay, they're relatively healthy, We're doing the best we can, but hopefully I've just given you a few top tips and ideas as to things that you can think about with your runs and enclosures during lockdown. Hopefully your birds are healthy, and we'll see you soon in the next video. If you've got any ideas, please leave them in the comments below, and we'll share them with everybody else. But in the meantime, best of luck, and hope your birds are okay.